Can I just ask you, for Singapore, shipbuilding and ship repair was quite a new industry at the time, right? We always had
Yes.
shipbuilding and ship repair, but on a very small scale during the colonial days, right? Mostly with the British and some local companies. Kallang had some local shipbuilding
Yes.
companies, but not the kind of scale that we are looking at, right? When the ships were huge, and subsequently there will be oil tankers and all that, and container ships and all that. What is your thinking in terms of were our workers able to, kind of upskill up, to build these ships? You talk about some seafools in the past, and
Yeah.
some of these experienced charge hands, right?
Yeah.
In your interaction with them, do you feel that they were confident about building these bigger ships,
Oh, yes.
having to complete these projects in a shorter
Yes.
time, right?
Shorter time, okay, that part I'm not sure, but definitely in terms of knowledge, they are really good. I mean, my boss at that time is a foreman. He's about 50 years old. He start working Sec 2 or Sec 3, he told me. I mean, he left school. He's not good in study. So I think Sec 2 or Sec 3, he left school, Chinese school. So he speak Chinese and Cantonese. So at that time, he's supposedly take care of all the machinery. That means for us technicians, we take out one project. So there are 5, 6 projects, but he's overall in charge. So any technical issue, normally he's the one who we approach. And he based on his experience, so he will give some suggestion. So because he's a hands-on guy, so from the phenomena like a diesel engine, at that time, when we start a diesel engine, nowadays definitely we got a lot of device or equipment to see what is the problem. But for him at that time, by listening to the sound of the engine, he can tell you roughly, okay, which cylinder maybe is not doing well, or which part may have problem. Based on the sound, no device. So this is the experience he have. And then based on his advice, then we will do accordingly some of the repair. And that is actually really the problem right on. So his experience is good. He never go to polytechnic, he never go to university, but he's got a lot of experience.
Do you know what is his background? Where was he working?
Oh, he worked starting as those mechanic, car mechanic, and then car repair, car engine. Car engine is a petrol engine. Then later he do lorry, all those truck. These are diesel engine. And then later on, he all the while his work is related to engine. So he's an engine expert, whether petrol engine, diesel engine. So all his life he's mostly working on the engine.
So can I kind of conclude that although there were young people like you, there were experienced people like you, there were locals, there were Malaysians, generally everyone kind of knew their job, right? They can do the job and they know the job.
Yes.
But the coordination was a problem. That's the problem.
Yes. I should say at that time we were new. I remember we got a naval architect graduate from the UK. He's the mastermind of the shipyard. I mean, but every day he wear long sleeve and long pants, and then never come down. So the time all the drawing come from him and his team. Then we will look at the drawing and then do accordingly, supposedly. By that time, the drawing is very simple. Because I'm in the mechanical line, so I come across a lot of mechanical drawing and installation drawing. That day in the 70s, all the piping is just a single line. So from point 1 to point B, you just see a single line. And then there are many lines on the drawing. So when you take out the drawing, I mean, the one is, you say useless is too much, but it's really just indicate, say from point 1 to point B, there's a connection, that's all. Then from there, you will see what is the pipe size. Then the pipe normally is a standard length, so it's over the distance, then you have to join the pipe. How to join it with a frame or just weld it? This will the ground decide. He will not decide. He just draw a single line. Say 50 meter over, he just draw a single line. And then from there, how many joint you want to have or how many weld is all the ground decision.
So that is the kind of teamwork there, lah.
And he is a graduate from UK, a naval architect, I remember. So, I mean, later on, I also become an engineer, lah. I mean, but nowadays, the tools we have is definitely a lot. I mean, like using CAD/CAM, you just from 2D, you can visual in 3D and all this,
Yeah.
So it's quite different, but that's how things work at the time. So at that time, very much depend on the experience on the ground people. Like this 50 meter length, the pipeline, how many joint you want to weld or how many frame for the connection. Normally is the supervisor up in the charge hand, you'll make the decision.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
based on the material you have, based on the pipe length that you have, you will make a decision.
Yeah. I think that's a very important point you just highlighted, that a lot of the actual work came from the experience. That means it's something that we already had, when we were beginning to industrialize and all that. And without this experience, folks, it would have been quite difficult. We were just beginning to train our new engineers and naval architects. But the people who helped them gain that experience and who started the first projects, a lot of these were the more experienced folks, personnel. Yeah.
All these guys, most of them don't speak English.
Yes.
In the shipyard, the official language is Cantonese.
Are you Cantonese?
Everybody, no, I'm not Cantonese, but I understand what they say.
Yes.
And then some Mandarin, and then Malaysian normally sometimes speak Mandarin and Cantonese. No English at the ground.
I mean, that's why we call them Sifu, right? This is a Cantonese word,
right?
Your ground engineering was also mainly Cantonese among the Chinese. Was it mainly Cantonese?
I tell you, at that time, you go to shipyard, which shipyard you go, mostly everybody will speak Cantonese.
Yeah.
I mean, that is Singapore in the early stage. Each industry will have the direct group, people mostly there, and then so that become the common language, communicate among them. Even you are not Cantonese, but you speak to them in Cantonese.
Maybe you can kind of tell us, right? What kind of men were these? What was their character like of this experienced chargemen?
They are very straightforward type, because they also learn from young. So they go through the hard way. Because at that time, maybe they can't read drawing, not like us. Okay, at least we come out from poly. When people put a drawing to you in front of you, you understand what they mean. But I can imagine them, they really learn through the hard way. So, but most of them are very friendly, because if you are willing to learn, they were definitely willing to teach. So at that time, I have a poly diploma. In the whole yard, I mean, those working on ground level, I should say, maybe not many, I should say less than 10 or less than 5. A lot of them are, say, maybe Sec 4 come out, then start working. and then they may be performing well, so they promoted from a fitter to a assistant technician, then become a technician or training technician, assistant technician. Then for us, poly going with straight away as a technician. So technician with a poly diploma time in the yard is not many. Everybody is based on their experience. So that's where also I learned a lot from the shipyard, from the group of the especially Sifu, from the machinery, all the things that in the industry. I mean that's the place where I learned the most.